Happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm Sylvia Gordon.
And I'm Rebecca Gordon.
This is a weekly Wednesday wrap-up where we wrap up everything that's happened in insurance this week. Please stay tuned.
All right, well, I think St. Patrick's Day is a super awesome holiday. However, we are Scottish. And I'd like to know why we don't have a Scottish holiday.
That's why I'm objecting and I'm not wearing green.
I'm not wearing green.
Let's talk about a crazy topic that most agents know zero about, and please share this video with other agents or other competitors because we need to educate the sales force about gender non-binary clients and transgender clients that are trying to traverse Medicare.
You know, it's an interesting topic. Typically, you have two boxes, male or female.
Right.
Right?
So if you don't identify as male or female,
what are your options?
so there are 7 states that require by law that the Medicare supplement insurance companies now have to give you male, female, other, or non-binary. And those 7 states are, can you guess?
I can guess, but I'm just going to...
Without
I'm
reading.
going to look. All right, without reading. California, DC, Hawaii, Massachusetts. Oh, and I'm so close. Oregon.
Oregon, yeah. Right. And I assume
New York will come.
New York and Washington State. Well, the liberal states will all come. But
Yeah.
But so for in Indiana, you got to identify as male or female on the application. Okay. So now we're having more and more seniors that are transgender.
Right.
If you're transgender, which means, so let's say, for example, because my best friend, her daughter transitioned to male.
Right.
So he is now Jason.
He's now a man. Yes.
When he applies for a Medicare supplement, does he apply as how he identifies as a male or how he was born as a female?
So it's going to come down to what the insurance company is going to look at, whether or not the carrier looks at birth certificate, or some say what you identify as.
And we haven't surveyed all of them. Well, we started with the AARP, and they say, we want your birth certificate, which makes sense. However, having seen somebody go through this, it's very expensive, long process. A lot of people don't have the money or the wherewithal to change their birth certificate. They just change their name, start taking hormones, and just
leave it at it. I mean, who would think you need to change it?
And they just do that. So if you did not change your birth certificate, but you've been living as Jason, a male, and you retire and you want to apply for a Medicare supplement, you will have to apply as a female.
Yes.
And you will get female rates,
which are lower,
which are a lot lower
than male rates.
So some people are going to game the system.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Right? Because certain companies don't require a birth certificate. So Anthem and AARP require a birth certificate. Aetna and Mutual of Omaha,
they are going to ask what you identify as.
So if somebody just says, I identify as a male because I want lower rates.
Right.
What stops me?
As of right now, nothing.
Nothing. I identify as somebody who needs lower rates.
Is that a box? I need lower rates.
So right now, the system can be gamed because the laws and the insurance companies have not caught up with the societal changes. So if you do have clients that are transgender or are gender non-binary, it depends on the Medicare supplement company, and I don't know how quickly this is going to change. Like, I don't know, and I don't know what all, we have probably 100 med sup companies.
I know.
I didn't ask all of them.
I'm impressed that these already have a system in place.
And those were some of the biggest carriers in the nation.
Which would make sense.
That's why we asked them. But I didn't ask Humana. We can ask Humana when they're here tomorrow.
We can ask Humana.
And we'll slowly get this information for you.
Yeah.
But Rebecca also asked me about gender reassignment surgery.
Yeah. I mean, I thought surely, you might get a break on your rates depending on how you identify and how the carrier's rates are. But surely you're paying 100% of the surgery out of pocket.
And that's not true. So Medicare actually approved, and I was trying to remember, it's been
idea.
Probably
10 years
7 years ago, or at least, that Medicare approved gender reassignment surgery. So it is an Medicare approved cost. So Medicare will pay their percentage, your MedSup has to pay their percentage. And when I looked into it, when they approved it, they said it's about $100,000. And they said, which is no small drip in the bucket, but they said, we feel that people that are going to transition genders will most likely do it before they ever reach Medicare. So we feel that it will be very few people that do it.
That kind of makes sense.
That kind of makes sense.
What about the drugs? How are those? Are those just
The hormones,
normal?
right? So if you
Are
transition,
those covered just as normal under your Part D?
well,
Any exclusions with that?
so like I take female hormones, and they're not covered because they're a high risk drug. Because if I take, I way too much information here, but I take estrogen, but I take bioidentical. It's made out of yams. Okay, instead of the synthetic, which raises your risk of uterine and breast cancer. And because it raises your risk of cancer, it's considered a high-risk drug with Medicare, which is why you get a lot of ladies mad at you that their drugs aren't covered. It's because Medicare considers them high risk, and therefore they ding the carriers if they cover them, which some do, but most don't. So even if you're a transitioned female and you have to be on that drug, you're going to run into that problem. So if you'd like to know more, because eventually you will have these esoteric cases, call us. The society is changing.
Well, and I'd love to get your feedback and your comments of cases you've already had.
Right. How many of you have had a gender non-binary or a transgender client?
Absolutely.
Or somebody that once or has already had the sexual re-identification, what is it called?
Cool.
Sexual transitioning surgery. So next topic, and we'll keep this as the last topic for this video, let's talk about all the agent forums, the chat rooms around the internet where there's all these agents saying, why do I need an FMO? Why shouldn't I go direct?
Right. I kind of laugh when I see those because insurance companies, here's the news flash, they want you to work with an FMO. If they didn't, they wouldn't make it so easy to partner up with them. They know, and it's been proven multiple times, that when you work with an FMO, a marketing group, you write more business.
So look, this is exactly the same answer that I give to a consumer that says, why would I work with an agent when I can call Mutual of Omaha direct? Same thing. Why would an agent work with Gordon Marketing when they can work with Mutual of Omaha directly? And it's the same answer because you get me for free. You do not take a lower commission to work with an FMO, and this is for any FMO in the nation. You don't take a pay cut to work with an FMO, and you get somebody that knows you, understands your business. You can have my cell phone. We're going to have a relationship for the rest of your life versus calling the 800 number and talking to producer help desk where please hold, and then they don't have the blah, blah, blah.
Or they only have one product. It's not like when you call producer help desk, they're going to say, you know what, this product just isn't a good fit. You should go here. That's never going to happen. But an agent will do that, and an FMO does that.
I was looking at the MedSup Plan F and Plan G rate increases that are starting to roll in now. And they're, as we predicted, astronomical on the F. We're looking at 10 to 15%. So is your carrier going to say, you know, maybe you need to switch over to Cigna? They're rolling out a new... They're not going to... Are they going to say, Mutual of Omaha's got a really competitive... You need to go over there.
Call my friend Bill.
That's not going to happen.
Nope.
But your FMO is going to be able to give you an enterprise-wide view. Like I said, you don't pay extra to have an FMO.
It's kind of like this show. We're giving you the top level of everything that's happening in the market delivered.
Is the carrier giving it?
No.
And if they gave it to you, it'd be so freaking boring you wouldn't watch it anyway. Okay?
Exactly.
So if you haven't hit subscribe, please subscribe to our
Please
channel.
consider to subscribe.
But it's the same thing with your consumer. If you don't think there's a room for the FMO, you probably don't have a good FMO. If your FMO is not giving you value, is not helping you, training you, supporting you, giving you ideas, workshops,
making you smarter,
whatever. We just took 120 agents to Cabo. You know, what's your FMO doing for you? Okay, first of all, and it's the same thing. What are you doing for your client?
Right.
You got to give value, or your client will go right around you and go directly to the insurance companies too. So the new agents that are out there that are saying, "Oh, I don't have an FMO, I have all direct contracts."
It's not a smart move.
It's not.
It's not a smart move.
You don't give up anything, and you should be getting something if you're savvy enough to work with an FMO that brings you value.
Yeah.
So if you have questions, tell us in the comments. If you have objections, if you agree, give me a hell yeah. Thank you for joining us for this episode. We have a video every Wednesday. Please hit subscribe and you will stay up to date.
Good selling. Talk to you soon.